as well. Welcome, everyone, to our council meeting of August 30th, 2023 at 6 p.m. here in the Moosehead Room at the Garrison Civic Center. Everybody is in attendance. Before we begin, I would like to respectfully acknowledge that we are gathered today on the ancestral unceded territory of the Pastuminakati people. Next up, I need a mover and seconder for the approval of the agenda with one addition for the proclamation for FASD, fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. Councillor Harding, Councillor Heislip. Any questions? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Any conflicts of interest this evening to declare? Seeing none. All right. Mover and seconder for the regular council meeting held on July 26, 2023 be approved as presented. Mover and seconder. Councillor Eastman.
Second.
Deputy Mayor Wheaton. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Agenda approved. Thank you. Okay, next up we've got the report of the Chief Administrative Officer. Okay, well, I'll get a mover to move into discussion on the CAO's report. Councillor Rodas, Councillor Heislip. Floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Your Worship. August has been a pretty eventful month here for the last month or so. As Council is aware, based on our last meeting, we're very happy to be able to announce that we have a collective bargaining agreement with our local union for 5 years, or from this date, but 4.5 years of labor peace moving forward. Great kudos to the teams for both sides. I thought we worked very cooperatively. And a sign of the modern times, in order to get the dates in so we could meet, we did a fair bit of work through Zoom calls and did virtually. I was negotiating from Halifax at one point. In the closing days, I was in Toronto. But we used the technology to our advantage and came up with a really positive deal that both sides were able to support. So that's great news. More great news, at least for my personal office, is the executive assistant position that council was good enough to allow us to fill. Has been offered and accepted, and I can happily say that Celeste Coswell will be joining our team on Tuesday. So if you've gone through the main office here and seen an empty cubicle that we've been cleaning up and stuff, that'll be her workstation to start. And we're really looking forward to her arrival, to get a bunch of projects off the corner of desks and have someone actually quarterback in there, bring them to completion. A lot of work, as my report says, on policy development in this reporting period, largely focused on the corporate services department, working with Mr. Tozer and trying to clean up some things and improve some of the issues that we're dealing with on the utility side and the corporate services in general. We finally got through all the paperwork that goes along with the change in the credit cards that the council was good enough to give us some time ago. The mayor will know the amount of papers that we had to sign to get those things going. Those are now in place. We're waiting for a couple of the newer cards to come in. But in conjunction with that, Mr. Tozer and I have been talking for a long time about putting a credit card usage policy on the books. That's been drafted. The corporate services team is taking a look at that now. So I expect that will be before you, hopefully for adoption at the next meeting, which will put a little bit more controls over the usage of those cards and and a lot more accountability towards the card holders. Also happy to announce that the Deputy CAO and I have completed our review of mass communication systems to enhance our ability to communicate to the public, not only in the event of critical issues, boil water orders or wildfires, but also on day-to-day items, be it council meetings, events, whatever. So this week, actually, we just got our account set up. We're going to be deploying a program called Alertable, which is if you take a chance to Google it, I know Councillor Greenlaw got a bit of a preview. Already got it on his phone, I think, when he was in my office to wait on another matter. We talked briefly about it last time we met, which it is linked into Environment Canada. It's linked into the Alert Ready national system, and it allows us to very easily push out a lot of information. Next phase, what I'd like to do is actually get the councillor iPads to have the app on it, almost like a testing pool for us as we go through some of our testing training, to send you guys some notices. Because some of the things we can do internally with that is, even if we're calling a special council meeting, I can send one alert to just you folks with a response, like almost like a survey monkey, saying, are you available at these times? And you guys can respond right through the app back to me. One-stop shopping. So we're going to I'm hoping to do some testing along those lines. We'll also be a big campaign that the company gives us some supplies to do to help get the public engaged with the program, get them signed up. We've talked about some different strategies to get out into the public and help people get signed up. But we're very excited about the deployment of that program for the community as well. We did have a meeting with the NB Power representation regarding a pilot project on community cameras that essentially screw into the top of streetlights. Great meeting, and we're waiting for the follow-up call right now, but we're working with our team as well as the law enforcement folks to pick some potential sites that we might want some constant eyes on, and hopefully are going to be able to deploy that through their pilot project in this fall. I believe they were looking at installations. There's only about 100 cameras going in across the province, so we're not going to get every light done in town, but hoping we can get a handful and at some strategic locations to as part of the pilot project. So community enhancement there if we can get that one over the finish line. And as council is aware, I believe by email from me, we are, the municipal district is the event sponsor for the Sophia Recovery House fundraising breakfast. That was a negotiated thing between my office and their representation in St. John, which we hosted here at the GCC. So if members of council, I know some of you have mentioned by email that you're interested in attending. I've got a sticky note on my computer of names that people have said that. If I don't have your name, check with me tonight so I can make sure that those seats that we have as part of that sponsorship get filled. But yeah, otherwise than that, lots of happening things, and we're just at the front end of budget too, which I'll be talking to you guys more and more about in the coming days. So busy time in the CAO's office, and a very, very, very great time for the EA to be starting. I'll say that. So thank you again for that support. That's my report, Your Worship.
Thank you, Jeff. And I'd like to thank Councillor Greenlaw there for bringing that camera system to our attention too as well. Appreciate that. All right. And yes, okay, so now we got public comment period. Any comments or?
Your Worship, we can have a motion to accept the report or questions on my report?
I think we probably should, shouldn't we? All right. After Jeff had a spiel there, sorry. Is there any questions for Jeff?
I do have one.
Oh, go for it.
Just on the community camera pilot project, is this something that is it's no cost to the municipality, and then if we decide to proceed long-term, it comes to council for, is this a route we want to go with monitoring and how it goes? Or could you just kind of give a little background on that, because I'm sure there are people who'd want to know. Thank you.
Through you, Your Worship. Yeah, there is a cost to the program. So $150 a month is the estimated number right now, which that would cover installation. It covers all the technology. It covers any maintenance. It covers the power that's used. Everything is included in that price, which is we know from our other cameras that we've deployed is quite reasonable. So it's something that we're looking at. Our budgets can handle in the short term, and we'll be adding it to the budget if we do get into the program for 2024's budget as well.
And what also is we can bow out at any time. There's no obligation to.
Correct.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah. And they store it, I don't know if you mentioned that, they store the info.
So
Yeah.
the data.
The data, yeah. I'm blank. Councilor Cornish.
Just a question for Jeff. Jeff, this is for the town itself right now, but is that, are those units, will they or can they be available to private people who would like to install those eventually at a cost to them?
Thank you, through your worship. Currently, the folks running the pilot project are focusing on municipal infrastructure. In our discussions, they did say they will install them on a private, if you have your own unit somewhere, that is an option that they're looking at. And that would be a fee, much like a dusk to dawn light or one of those type programs, where, if the program gets rolled out full scale, that would be an offering that they're looking at adding to their suite of products as well.
Thanks, Councilor Cornish. Councilor Rodas?
I know the BIA has looked into cameras too, and I'm just wondering, can it be coordinated as well, where you can look at all the locations and make sure that perhaps if they're looking at certain locations, the MB Power ones are installed in different locations? And my other question is, can they be tied into other cameras? I know some cameras have QR codes where you can actually share the footage, but I'm assuming MB Power has their own. This is like their own system with their own footage and data collection that they keep themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say we're intimately knowledgeable about the computer, the computer side of the program yet. We got a very brief glimpse at what it looks like on the screens here, but I suspect it's going to be a self-contained unit. We will have access to it through a cellular signal and things like that, but and I know the mayor mentioned either on or off the mic, I'm not sure, about data storage. It's not long-term storage. They get rewritten over fairly frequently. So it's going to be, we're not going to be able to go back 3 months like we can in some of the stuff that we have internal to the GCC, just because they are small units and they have small hard drives built into them. So there is an automatic rewrite, but you'll be able to go back, I believe, could be a week. Is it?
I was going to say 14 days.
Oh, it might have been 14 days.
It's a week to 14
Yeah.
days, something like that.
So.
Just a further comment on that is, but if there's something you want, a value on there, you can save it. But yeah. Okay, Councilor Cornish?
Just another question, Jeff. Those cameras, will they be monitored also, or just an after effect after someone has been seen in action? How is that happening? And another question, you may not be able to answer or not, but most cameras that are in homes today, even if they do catch someone in the act, they're not a legal thing you can use in court. Can you answer that at all for me, please?
I'll refrain from answering the court question. As far as the ability, they are designed as post-incident cameras right now. NB Power has been piloting slightly different models that have more perimeter alert things on them, much like your Ring doorbell that alerts you on your phone that there's a movement inside the camera range. They're out there. They exist. They're not part of the pilot project being rolled out to the municipalities at this point. But again, we were privileged to see about 5 different products that are in the suite from the company that NB Power is sourcing their tech from. That if things get rolled out to the public, there are, there's speed camera, there's speed recorders. They have lots of different technologies that literally can just screw into the top of the streetlights, and that are out there. Right now, they know that there's a focus in the communities for community safety, community cameras. So they're seeing that this might be a service that they can roll out to their clients, to their municipal clients, and so that's where they're focusing on. We asked questions about some of the other units at the meeting, and they said, "Yeah, don't look at that image that closely because those are not those not available yet." But there is a big suite of things that are out there that may be available in the near future.
Okay. All right. Thanks, everyone. And so no further questions, so we'll go to vote to accept the agenda, or the report. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Okay, so now we got public comment. Questions from public, please. Please state your name and
Oak Bay, Ontario. I'm sure you guys are aware there's a site in town called Charlotte County Freedom Fighters. There's over 800 registered voters just in St. Stephen on the site. And I'm going to bring something that I just recently learned, is that how did St. Stephen become a 15-minute city? And this touches on the surveillance.
sorry, this isn't an agenda item. It's got to be an agenda item, Chris. Got to be an agenda item.
That goes with the cameras. Are these cameras that you just voted on, are they going to be used for surveillance, social credit score?
Sorry, I'm not on the camera. I'm not on the mic there. So no. So is there any other topic you want to speak of?
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, if you catch somebody on video in your house, breaking into your house, you can use that in court if you have a placard in front of it saying that they're being monitored. That is not true, right? If you walk into a store and they say you're being recorded and it can be used against you in the court of law, and you break the law in the store, then they can use that in court. So people can use those cameras if they publicly post that they're using them.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah.
Broken into, stolen, vandalized,
Okay.
several times.
Yeah.
The police won't do anything, which is a charter violation, because when they tell me that I can't go and steal the item back, and I know where it is, right?
Okay. Yep. All right. Yeah. Okay. As you said, yeah. No, thanks for that. Anything else? No, there's no debate. They did, no. Okay. Thank you. Nothing further from the public? Seeing none. Thank you. All right. Next up, we have, can I move and second for the departmental reports? Councilor Harding. Councilor Rodas. We'll start off with the Deputy CEO report, please. The floor is yours, Sean.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Your Worship. Try and do this in order tonight. Which one is, which one do we do it first?
It's on the screen in front of you.
Oh, there it is. Okay, perfect. Protective Services. Sorry. All right, Protective Services. We had 22 alarms for the period between July 18th and August 22nd. Getting used to these new statistics, I would say that's going to be an average month. There's a list of different types of calls that we responded to. Nothing out of the ordinary there. I would like to say, under fire department activities, we've been getting ready for the annual Bucket Sit fundraiser. That is going to be taking place next weekend, so starting on Thursday, this coming Thursday, a week from tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So you'll see us out at the Superstore parking lot. So we appreciate the support that we get from the community every year, and we're looking forward to that event again this year. As far as my activities, again, it's been a busy month. Did interviews today for my admin assistant that you guys had approved us to do, so that's going well. Also, it's not noted in my report, but I've been working in the background planning a medium to large scale training exercise for firefighters, and I'm hoping to host that here in St. Stephen. We've got a number of firefighters from around the county that have a deadline of December 31st to complete training. We're moving on to a new program, so we need to get all of the legacy students cleaned up so we can move on. So we're going to you may see an exercise going on here later on in the fall. Also, I've been working with the pipeline people. We're planning a tabletop exercise and a field exercise. That's part of their licensing. They move around in different areas, and Charlotte County is the area this year. So I've been working on that. That's, I guess, the highlights from Protective Services. If anybody had any questions on Protective Services, we could discuss them before I move on to infrastructure.
Councilor Greenlaw?
Yeah, just a couple quick things. One, on the incendiary fire, was that a building, was that woods or?
It was an outside fire that was intentionally lit. Well, they weren't very successful, but it was an intentional fire that caused no damage, thankfully. It could have, but.
And then just on the emergency plan, any timeline on that with the emergency plan? We're going to see it?
We're getting close. The CIO and I have talked about next steps as far as getting that out. Part of getting an admin assistant is that's one of the top items on the list of things. The nuts and bolts are there. We just have to get it into a format and get it out. So I'm hopeful within the next couple of months that you'll see some progress on that.
Thank you. Councilor Harding?
Thank you, Your Worship. Since I wasn't here for the meeting last month, or the middle of the month, can you tell me how you're doing with the Community Safety Committee and what's going on there? I presume that it will be out soon, who's on it or whatever, right?
I could probably take that. Yeah, no, we just literally got the letter together to send out to the people that have been awarded the opportunity to be on the committee. So they'll be getting that soon.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. But another thing I want to say, this committee will not succeed unless there is a part of this committee that deals strictly with the drug trade in this town. It will not succeed. We would not have the problems today if we, in 2004, when I started, if we could have gotten rid of the illegal drugs, and they're still here, and they're not going away. I was happy to hear tonight that my co-seat here, Earl, is on that committee, and I think he is of the same mind as I am. But I would like to see, I don't know how you do it, but I'd like to see the RCMP maybe bring in a unit to deal with the drugs and the drug houses, and not especially the drug dealers. So I would like to see that one more time since 2004. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councilor Harding. Okay. Anything else, or you want to? Okay, continue, Sean.
Thank you, Your Worship. We'll move on with the infrastructure report. As usual, I've listed a number of activities that infrastructure took care of in the month of July. In addition, we did get some paving going. You'll note further on in my report that I had said it was delayed due to the asphalt plant being relocated to Graham and Ann. It's still in Graham and Ann. Not sure when it's coming back, so we've been forced to travel to the city to get our asphalt. Was what we were trying to avoid, but we're running out of time, so we have begun hauling some asphalt out of St. John on suitable days. So you may see some of that going down in different neighborhoods in the town. And also we've identified a couple of small jobs that are priority, and we've hired a contractor to come in and help us with that to tick those off and get those done. We're also actively mowing and bushing along some of the streets and whatnot, and so you may notice the trackless out around with the sidearm mower doing some of the roadsides. And it almost seems like it's kind of late, but the DTI contractor is in town this week doing their painting, their line painting. Any of the designated highways, King Street, Milltown Boulevard, they're responsible to paint those, so they were in town this week, so that's good news. Better late than never. I guess that's the highlights I have from infrastructure.
Deputy Mayor Wheaton?
Push the right button. No, I was just wondering about, I know that they're doing a lot of work on School Street right now, and the kids are going to be there next week. So how is that coming along?
They're supposed to be putting some asphalt down on the section that is complete between Union and Edward, I believe. Hopefully they're going to start tomorrow. They told us it was going to happen by the end of this week. So obviously today wasn't a good day for that. I know they were doing some base work Monday and Tuesday to get ready. Hopefully you'll see some asphalt being laid there tomorrow.
Time, so.
Well, there is going to be other ongoing construction there for sure. Obviously school starts next week, but we're going to do our best to make that work as best we can.
Thank you.
Councilor Wright?
Thank you, Mayor. I just have one quick question because I'm not familiar with how this works and I'm curious. The asphalt plant that's in Graham and Ann, is that something that is a municipal thing or a provincial thing that's shared around? I'm just nosy, I guess. Not that it matters. I'm just curious.
That's a good question because a lot of people don't realize it. That's a private company. They own it. They sell asphalt. They sell it to DTI. They sell it to the local pavers. They sell it to towns. They got a big contract on Graham and Ann and went over to do it. And they packed it up, took it over, and I'm guessing it doesn't go to Graham and Ann very often. So once they're done their big job, they probably got a whole lot of small jobs to do. So we're not sure when it's going to come back. That's what it was.
Councilor Eastman?
Yes, sir. A couple of things, actually. Was somebody from the town authorize those people to park their equipment in the Legion parking lot?
Not that I'm aware of. No.
When they approached us, we said, no, we didn't want them parking there because, especially on Wednesdays and Thursdays, any other time's not a big deal. Wednesdays and Thursdays, we pack the friggin' parking lot, and they've been putting their equipment in there.
No, nobody from my office authorized them to do that.
One small point on signage. In King Street, near Kent's, you got the school zone, 30 kilometers from 0730 to 1600 hours. The opposite side of the road coming the other way, but near Carstairs, you got it 30 kilometers an hour at 8 a.m. and to 4 p.m. A little inconsistent on the signage for time.
For that.
Are we going back to, are you going to cover the bylaw enforcement report?
If you had questions on the bylaw enforcement report, I would certainly take them.
Just on Assistant General Public, on paragraph number 4, somebody stated we do not have a long grass bylaw. Does that not fall under unsightly premises? No? I'm just curious.
No, it does not. We do not have a long grass bylaw. Unfortunately, the Dangerous and Unsightly Premises Act title is very misleading. It shouldn't even say unsightly. It should say dangerous, because it's a common misconception that things that are unappealing are dangerous and unsightly, and they're not. Yep.
I mean, unless there was a risk of fire, that would fall into the dangerous part, but yeah. Councilor Rodas?
Hi. I'm wondering about, for infrastructure, is it possible, I know when the school year starts, sometimes the RCMP will park on Mark Street to deter people. I'm wondering if there's some way we can almost have an RCMP just inquire and see if they'd be willing the first couple weeks of school even to be around Meehan's area somehow, because that is kind of a zone where people can fly by down there and they're still doing work, and I do worry about that many kids, especially kids that are new to St. Stephen Middle School coming out of elementary. Even if we can just inquire that if they'd be willing to do that just for a couple weeks, I'm sure that they might agree to that. And you do a fantastic job. Just want to let you know. Just throwing that out there.
Thank you. I'll see what we can do on getting some officers around.
Councillor Heisler.
It's more of a comment there, about the grass there. We discussed that bylaw before, but that minimum standards, property standards is probably going to, I would assume, and I think I did see a part in that about grass and different other aspects of your property. There's a minimum standard to keep, so that's in the works now, I would say, or because I mean I know you've been working on it, so yeah.
Yeah, actually, I just leaned over and whispered to the deputy CAO that we need to get that ready to come back for a look at by this council, because that is where all those types of issues live. So we're dusting that off. We'll dust that off for you, and probably the most appropriate place to bring it to committee of the whole for the first kind of chat and get more direction on where this council would like to explore as far as that the regulations in that bylaw.
Okay. You have more parts that to your...
Not unless anybody has anything else they'd like me to elaborate on.
Thank you, Sean. All right, next up we have the Southwest New Brunswick Commission MD Planning Development Report. Alex.
Thank you, Your Worship. So the PRAC met on August 17th to make a decision on a variance request for 38 Queensway. This was related to a one-lot subdivision proposal for the purpose of a triplex. It actually, so the meeting took place, and there was quite a lot of neighborhood response. A lot of concerns were raised, so the committee decided to table this to look for more information application for the development, and there was a number of concerns related to the proposed access, because that was what the variance was for, to have a reduced frontage. So that's going to come back for the September meeting, or when the applicant has enough information. So it's essentially tabled indefinitely until they come back with the information the committee requested. In addition, there's background work continuing with the municipal plan. We'd finished a conservation map, environmentally sensitive lands in the municipal district. So that's within town and the former LSDs that are now one community. So the municipal district will have one plan that unifies the whole new municipality. With development, at the time of the report, there was 50 building permit applications that were processed and reviewed for zoning compliance and sent to the inspector. And there was 24 development permit applications in that time frame. In total, it was just over, 3.8 million in construction value in the permits, 16 zoning confirmation letters or registry documents, 6 zoning variances, 4 sign permits, 12 subdivision applications, which had a total of 18 new lots added to the municipality. And in the time of the report, there was 25 net new dwelling units that were permitted. So that concludes my report.
Thank you, Alex. Any questions from council? Seeing none, I guess you're done. Thank you. What's that? All right, so next up, we got community service report. Kev Sumner.
Thank you, Your Worship. Lots of information in the community services reports this month. With Jeremy's, there's lots in the facilities, lots of interaction with the facilities and the renters that we have, including the library. Lots of conversation and working with them on their HVAC systems, their needs in regards to the plaza. We've tried to do our best in relation to that work. Same with the 5 Kings and the RCMP buildings that Jeremy looks after. inside the GCC, of course, we've got the pool deck project, which has been making some good progress. We're waiting for a tile delivery. It's the next course. Hopefully, will start in the next few weeks. If there's anybody has been in the GCC and seen through the windows, you can see what work has been going on, and it's going well. Hopefully, we're looking at first half of October when we can get the pool back open. It will take a little bit of cleaning. It's quite dusty, as you can imagine, removing all that sand and mortar. That's still a reminder that even though it feels a little chilly, especially today, the outdoor pool is still open, still being staffed, and will be for as long as the weather permits, and we can move everyone back into the GCC. So other projects, of course, we've got the Plaza project. We had Dillon Engineering down last week just to take a look. There is still the deficiencies that we are aware of, and we're working with the contractor just to get these last little bits done. We know it's not what we originally thought it would look like, but we're confident we can get those little things done, and we can add some color and some other fixtures to it to make it a lot better. And of course, with the sign, I'm actually in good discussion with the insurance company and the sign manufacturer that is going to reinstall it. So hopefully that should be coming back online very quickly. But it's all about insurance and money and paying the right people. So other thanks to all the councillors that came out on Monday to celebrate the opening of the dog park, the Tails and Trails dog park, sponsored by Pet Value. Really was appreciated that you were there, and it was difficult because it was a little warm and lots of flies, but it was well attended and lots of positive stories, and it made it onto the news. So thanks to everyone that was there for that. Going into the fall, and a thank you to all the students that worked this summer. I think you would agree that they did a good job. We're hoping that, pretty sure that most of them will come back. They worked, in difficult circumstances with the heat sometimes and the rain, but they did a really good job. They helped get the field ready for the Ballier tournament last weekend, and sadly that couldn't take place. But it's all good experience for them, and it helps us. Other things, within the reports, Aaron, he's actually away in Campobello for a few days this week, helping their pool, their training down there. Shows we've got resources within the staff that are well sought after around the region. So we're pleased with that. One minor thing, sad thing, we had a few issues with RCMP, and we've been able to work well with them, and appreciate the work that Scott and his team has done. Other meetings have included with the Milltown group. We've put a lot of work into, not just myself, but as Deputy CEO Morton said, there's the mower that's doing the work. We've assisted with putting lights in at the Jake Donahue Park right next to the border, which that's a beautiful park when you come across the border. And we've also worked with the pickleball group, and hopefully we can help them. But there's lots of things ongoing, of course, in community services. But if there's any questions, I'm pleased to hear them.
Start with Councillor Eastman.
I've got a couple of questions, two different subjects. Dog bark. Are we now going to lock up the Rotary field because they're still using that as a dog park?
I would love to. I mean, it's an athletic field. It's our only athletic field. It should only really be used for sports. The pickleballers, they asked about using it. So there's people in there. There's potentially, that's good for us. I know the fencing needs work in there. It's something which I can budget, for capital, just to repair those fences. And if we have to lock it up, that's something we can do. It's it's a tough one because we want kids to be active and be out there, but we also want to look after the fields too, and we want to make sure they're safe. So, but it's something like we have at the tennis courts. If we could put a combination lock, and if somebody wants to use it, they can always give us a call. But that's an idea. You know, it's something we could look at maybe, but it's certainly, hopefully we can get more people in the dog park and off Rotary Field.
Well, maybe a sign on the outside of the Rotary Field saying, you know, the dog park's up in Elm Street.
We have no dogs, but people don't always see those. But yeah, we can put direction signs up to Elm Street.
The second one was the, I noticed you said the motor arena development, you're working with Ian and all that, and the installation of cell tower. I thought we had kind of shut the cell tower down. Hi.
We're still waiting to hear back from the cell tower installation company about other locations, but we are in dialogue with them. We haven't just shut it down. We're just going to see if there's other locations in town, but they've been quiet for the last month or so. I'll let kind of Ian answer that too if he needs to.
Thanks, Councillor Eastman. Councillor Greenlaw?
Yeah, just on the airport there, you know, it's getting grown up a lot, and there is some work going on to try to get some, you know, heavy brush and small tree removal in there. And then I noticed you're talking about continue to review the Canadian aviation regulations and requirements. Does that include that RNAV renewal? Because that's, I think it's got to do with the automatic navigation system. That does include that? Yeah. Okay, because that's a substantial cost.
Just to comment. Oh, sorry.
If I may, Your Worship, just on the RNAV, I've been working directly with Mr. Smith on the RNAV situation, as well as the complete renewal upgrade that is required in 2024, which is a much bigger bill, but it's required every 5 years for the instrumentation flight requirements. So we will be budgeting for a significant amount of money to stay compliant with the NAVCAN folks there when it comes to the GPS approach and flight. So you're very correct. It is very expensive to do anything that involves with the NAVCAN folks, but in order to stay compliant, we have to do it.
Is there any funding opportunities for that? Or is that something we should look into? Oh, Councillor Rodas.
I just wanted to note, I think it's great that the Pickleball Association is so passionate about seeing something come together, and it's not every day you see a community group come forward and really kind of put their efforts in collaboration with us to make something happen. So I just wondered, when I read the letter, they mentioned the New Horizons Senior Program. Is that something, I noticed the date was September 14th, that's due. Is that something we can move on applying for?
Well, I think we were going to discuss it later on. And just to finally touch on the airport, Jeremy, and he, even though it wasn't on our property to assist, we removed a couple of trees from a nearby property just to help with that, just because it is a concern. And we do bush hog in the spring and the fall, so we ensure that all the lights are visible and everything's good. So we always stay on top of that.
Thank you, Kev. Councillor Rodas, thank you. Okay. Thank you, Kev. All right, next up is the treasurer's report, and Tim's not here. Is there any questions on his report? Anything you want to add, Jeff?
Yeah, Mr. Tozer does send his regrets. He is actually working just behind the wall, behind the mayor, but he and I had a meeting today and decided that the priority for this evening was to get in a report due to the government, so they would release about $300,000 worth of funding that he has to have in tomorrow. So we decided that, you know, if there's questions, we'll take them, and I'll bring back responses or email responses back to council if need be. But that his attention might be better spent somewhere else tonight.
That sounds good to me. If he's bringing in the money, leave him alone. All right. Okay, so we got, Councillor Greenlaw.
So budget's obviously big issue right now, and just a quick update on where you think we are with that, if we're gonna have it done by the end of September. The second one is the financial summit that's coming up in September in Fredericton. Who's attending from the municipal district here?
So budget, we have an internal calendar. Our budget, unlike the RSC, our budget's not due till the end of November. So we're well on timeline to meet our legislative requirements. We actually, the assistant treasurer just last week provided me the first draft from just the department head submissions, so that we're going to get into more details. I meet individually with the department heads to go over their line by lines. And I was saying to the mayor earlier today or yesterday, whenever we were sitting down, that we're gonna have to schedule some meetings with council to talk about priorities and things like that. So as far as that goes, that's on track, with more to come on more information coming forward. As far as the Finance Summit, right now, I will be attending on behalf of administration, and that's, as far as I know, the only representation we have confirmed at this point. So.
Okay, thank you. All right, so now we down the treasury report, future St. Stephen report. Ian.
Thank you, Your Worship. As noted at the end of my report, I was away on personal leave, as well as attending death in the family during this reporting time, so my report's a little shorter than normal. Before I did leave, I did meet with one developer in collaboration with Jeff, discussing some housing opportunities. So they are still looking at and exploring options, but it was a positive meeting there. I did meet with another developer with ongoing discussions regarding another property in St. Stephen before I left as well. I did want to note there was one business that is interested in relocating possibly to the industrial park that we are also in discussions with, as well as not noted in my report. I am in discussions with a second business that is quite excited to potentially move in to St. Stephen as well, and I'll give further updates as I can disclose them. Regarding business growth, we continue to have ongoing discussions with developers and other discussions regarding the hotel project, and that's probably as far as I can disclose, but there are active discussions continuing going on, not just with one project potentially or one opportunity, but potentially other options as well. And then, and then lastly, just to continue to report, I am continually working with the RSC and their counterparts, and I know Alex is here, but on their behalf, but also Charlene, regarding some local programs, as well as other opportunities for labor development and that sort of thing. So that concludes my initial report. Attached is also the strategic priorities for this year, as well as into the next year. I can run through the high-level topics, or the high-level priorities currently lie as the hotel, housing, existing business support. Of course, we're always looking for new business, but supporting and helping succession, retainment in the businesses we have, as well as we want them not just to maintain, but also grow and provide new opportunities within the municipality as well. And then always the industrial park as well, looking for new opportunities for industry to move in there, as it's unique to our municipality to have an industrial park with the asset of rail, water, and being so close to the border. So we do try to market that and try to see if we can continually bring in new business as well. If you're interested, you can see how that lines up with my job description lower down. I don't need to get into those details, but I'd be happy to take any questions at this time and offer any potential information I'm allowed to.
Questions, Council? Council Rodas?
Okay, I have one question. I see here it says prioritizing workforce and affordable housing projects. Do we, how is it decided based on, I guess, creating a good, healthy balance between bringing people in terms of workforce versus housing the people that are currently unhoused? I just want to make sure that we're always kind of balancing that and we're not too far on one side where we're prioritizing people coming here to work, even though the economy is super important, but also having housing that's affordable for our own citizens is really important too. So I just didn't know if you guys have a plan around how you actually balance that.
That's a great question. Thank you, Councillor Rose. So one thing is we are working at the regional level with the RSC to put together a regional housing plan, because as you know, it's not just St. Stephen that's struggling with housing and that sort of thing. The typical rule of thumb is usually 30% to 70% market rate versus affordable, but obviously a lot of the discussion happens at the developer level as well. What they're interested in, the amount that they're pouring into these different projects, and what they really expect back. We try to communicate a lot of the affordability and the need. Unfortunately, at the end of the day, we're not the developers, and we're not the one investing in these projects. So we only have so much influence in that. But it is definitely top of mind. Housing is a real need, and that's something we're always continually discussing, and even in collaboration with the municipality and the RSC and different other partners. Yeah.
Thank you. Jeff?
Thank you. Just to piggyback on Mr. Williams' report, one thing that Mr. Williams and I have been discussing is that it may be time once again to do a joint sitting of council and Future St. Stephen Board. The returning councillors may remember not long after I first started here, Mr. Fulton and I held a joint session of the council and the board to make sure that our strategic alignments were at least lined enough that we were going in the same direction. And I do think that would be valuable, especially with the new council, the new municipal district, and an updated board for Future St. Stephen, to get to do that again, and have a closed session to just talk about where everybody's at, and maybe explore some of the things in their strategic plan versus our strategic plan, and have that facilitated dialogue. So if that is something that the council would be interested in, we can continue to pursue our pre-planning up for an event like that, and try and pull something together.
I would say council would be in support of that, wouldn't they? Okay. Consider that something to move forward with and set up. Thank you. And great idea, Jeff. It is time to not like Mrs. Rose. Councilor Rose was just saying about being balanced. We also got to be in balance with Future St. Stephen, so it's work to do that. Okay, so Future St. Stephen is done. So now I had a mover, I had a seconder. Is there any questions at all for all the departmental reports? I'll have a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Report's accepted. Thank you. Okay, new business. Request for decisions. Mover and seconder for the review of the Milltown Dam recommissioning.
Should be decommissioning.
Or, yeah, that is, yeah. Well, no, it really should be recommissioning, but that's not all of council saying that, it's just me, but that's the worst mistake we've ever done. I've been part of. But anyway, so decommissioning. Fix that typo. So mover seconder, please. Councilor Harding. Oh, yeah, I think Councilor Corners, because you're the one who brought it up. That council requests an update from MB Power in a form of a presentation to council on the Milltown Dam decommissioning project, including the future state of the property. So I guess, is council interested in making that proposal to MB Power? Yeah. All right. That's pretty easy. That sounded pretty overwhelming. So I'll, any questions on that then? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Is that a standing ovation for that one? All right. What's that tell you? On that one, yeah? Yeah, sure. Councilor Rhodes?
I'd actually love to take it further and have them come for a standing presentation. Like, there's just been so much that's happened already, and I feel like we should be in the loop on what's going on. It's been so long, and I feel like it shouldn't be up to us to decide when they're going to come. If they could come every, 6 to 8 weeks and just keep us in the loop on how things are going, that would be fantastic. Well, we can ask.
So, yeah, so the 6 to 8 weeks things won't work because the way we're set up, but you're right, they could at least send some updates, but, yeah. But we'll, now that we got the word, we'll be reaching out to them anyways, so, right? Yeah, yeah, there's that, exactly, exactly, good point. All right, so, mover and seconder for the change of level of service for the GCC saunas. Councilor Eastman? Councilor Heisler? That the council authorizes the conversion of the non-operational dry saunas into storage space for aquatics and programming. Is there any questions? Can you, I would just say, maybe, go ahead, ask your question. Yeah, just, can you elaborate more on that, if that's probably.
The saunas, the dry saunas have not been fully operational for quite some time. They've been intermittent in the availability. The cost to repair them is quite considerable. And with the growth of the aquatics and the programming that we have, it came from not just Aaron, but from Jeremy as well, just because he pays for the maintenance, he pays for it, he coordinates the payment for it. It was utilizing that space because we need the storage space, either both saunas or one, to be converted over to storage. So it is a change of service. They aren't used, when they are working, they aren't used a lot. There's, between, on average, 5 to 10 people use those a month when they are working. And so as it's a change of the level of service, I wanted to bring this to council just for your thoughts and discussion.
Any questions of council? Councilor Heisler?
Are they removable, and can we just take them out? If we're not going to use them, what's the sense of sitting them in the storage room for forever?
No, he wants to turn them.
You're just turning them in so you can open the doors and store inside them. That's what my first question was, are they removable, right? So if they're removable, we might as well just, they're not, so, okay.
Councilor Greenlaw?
So you're talking a permanent change. So once you take them to the storage room, they can never go back to a sauna.
Potentially they could, if we see there's a real demand for them. Getting into the details, there's wet saunas, dry saunas. People were coming in and, thinking they could put water on them. That was cause electrical issues and huge expense, and tampering with the buttons and trying to, ramp the temperature up and get them going faster. And it's just, it's a bigger issue. Could we go back to them? Possibly, yeah. It would be expensive to convert them back at that stage.
Councilor Otis?
Just my opinion, but it seems like a shame to take 2 saunas out and use it as a storage closet. Something feels wrong about that. I don't know why we have pretty much a brand new civic center and the saunas don't work, but I am not really all for it. I think that if we had saunas that worked full time, maybe we would have more use. But if we never actually figure out a way to make them usable long term, and there's lots of places throughout Canada that have saunas that work long term. So I think we just need to maybe take some time to look into other options that would work for us where there isn't as much control on the inside by the general public. That's just my opinion. It's always a shame to see something turn into storage space that we can't reverse, that 5 years down the road we think, wow, that's a real shame that we don't have 2 saunas. Anyway, just thought.
I know that Jeremy has been in contact with a number of electricians, not since 2017, since he started, and the workaround, to make them almost, push a button to go and make them work has been tried, and we've put protective covers over just to reduce that, but they are still getting damaged. They are still malfunctioning because there is users that get in there and interfere with the electrical and the mix of electricity and water. It doesn't work well. Potentially we could still look. He has been in touch, like you said, with Southwest Electric just to see if there's a workaround. It's not saying we can't do it, or maybe we can reduce down to one and still offer one sauna. That's why I put the different options in there. But it's just an expensive component. It's an expensive piece of equipment, and it isn't used. Maybe you're just using one. We see that we are, and we can track it more often. But it's just bringing it to council's attention that it's much needed storage space as well. And I understand completely, and we're just not getting lots and lots of people in there. We've asked lifeguards, we've asked the front desk, and it isn't a thing that people are really clamoring for. But
Okay, go ahead, Deputy Mayor Wheaton.
Something of the same mind as Councillor Rodas. There was a time when I was swimming almost every day, and we were using them every day. So I don't know if they stopped working after a while, but they seem to be working then. If we were going to use it for storage, I would suggest that we use one and still keep one going. I mean, I don't know, like in the last 2 years, they weren't working, so we weren't using them, right? So I don't know if they were working, maybe more people would be using them. I don't know. So I would go with just one.
Well, I'm not. I think it's a little bit of everything, but yeah. Oh. Yeah, so like I'm only basing my numbers on what you're saying for usage as well. Like I'm struggling with that too. Is the one? Can you take the parts from one and make one, or one and that you're going to change over and use it in the good one and make that one work? Is that?
It is doable. It's something which we will certainly, we'll investigate every option we can. It's just the increasing costs that come with it, but we can get it going even if we just get one going, and then we can really monitor it for usage. And if it does get to the point where it's still breaking down and we've tried the best we can, I'll report back, and I can report back each month on usage and how it's performing. So.
Yeah, and so like I don't want to get into the weeds here, but like let's say you got to invest a serious amount of dollars, and maybe maybe at that point I don't know. I don't want to, like I said, if I don't never use them, so I don't know what the feel of the community is on it, to be honest. But you guys see the traffic, but I do kind of see what the deputy mayor was saying. Maybe they weren't used because they weren't usable, but yeah. Yeah, so it's, well, that's we'll have to see what we is, but yeah, I get the read of the room here. Yeah, go ahead, Councilor Otis.
If hypothetically we just kept two and let them sit there for a long time until maybe we have the funds to do something with them, is that going to put you in dire straits as far as storage? Is there another storage option we can look at that isn't the actual saunas?
There's a little space under the pool, so there's always, we can be creative, so we will adapt. We have done, so.
I can just feel the community outrage if we shut down two saunas and make it into a pool closet. I can just feel it right now. I just think it's best to leave our options open for the community so we can gauge how they feel about it. And maybe it's just a matter of leaving a comment box outside saying, would you like to see these saunas? And if people really want it, they'll go stick a comment in. I don't know. I don't feel comfortable saying completely shut them down without knowing exactly how people feel. I have no idea.
Well, here's another thought. We talked about it. People are going to hear about it. Yeah. Maybe we table this until we see if there's some feedback. But that's just another option. Yeah. Okay. Is that where you're going? All right. So let's let it see if it turns into a fire out there and deal with it. You short and can, Council Cornish.
I may have missed it, Kevin, but any idea what the cost of restoration would be on those saunas? Ballpark?
Yeah, the installation, it would be about 2,500 plus taxes plus installation for each one. So we're talking, yeah. If we were to do two, it's close to 5,000. So, and as Jeff just pointed out, we can always fix them both, and we can track them, we can monitor them. We'll really keep our eyes on it and let you know how they get on. And when they break, we can let you know that too.
So we're back to nothing if we're not on. So are we tabling, or are we going to go? Let's take the option just to fix the damn thing. Nope. Fix the things. Yeah, sorry. My apologies.
I'll second that.
All right. So what?
I made the motion to table, Brad seconded.
Okay. Yeah. Well, the council has an option here. You can. Yes. Go ahead.
So if we're tabling them, we haven't made a decision if we're fixing them.
No, they don't get fixed, they don't get used.
So
Let's fix them.
let's make a motion to fix them, table this one and fix them,
Okay.
and then monitor from there. No more sense of tabling this one and not fixing the,
No, I agree.
right, so.
I second that.
All right. So how's the rest of the council feel about that?
So we back to option 2?
No. Option 3. Option 3. Fixing them both.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
And we'll all check them out ourselves.
Yeah.
I'm not in favor of fixing them at this point. We find out what it is. $5,000 is not a lot of money, but it's $5,000 we do something else.
I can't believe we're talking about $5,000. To be honest, I don't want to get into the operations. I mean, we provide them a budget. If he's got the budget, fix it. Yeah, yeah. Does that sound right? Option 3, fix them. If you got the money in your budget, it's not a budget, that's budget expense. What's that? You don't want to fix both? Oh, you don't want to fix any? Okay.
I think that the recommendation is made by the person who was involved with this all the time, that they know what they're talking about. So I would agree with what Kevin's, or whoever made this up. Yeah, that's what I put, yeah.
Again, that's one counselor. How's the rest of the council feel? I can't, anyway. Counselor Wright.
I feel comfortable splitting the difference. Fix one, keep it operational as much as you can for those 5 users a week, because the chances of them all being there at the same time and needing two, pretty slim. If it gets to the point where it's that popular, we can revisit, but I mean, I would like to split the difference and give them a little extra space, but I'm agreeing with with Councillor Rodas and Councillor Wheaton. I don't like to see us totally take out a service. So I would be in favor of option 2, and I know that just muddies the waters, but it is what it is.
Any other option? Oh, shoot. Any other option? Two candidates here? I feel like I'm trying to sell something here.
No, I go with
2?
2.
Brian? Or Councillor Cornish?
I agree with Councilor Wright.
Okay.
Let's split it.
Sure. Councillor Heislip?
No idea. Yeah, I'm good with splitting the difference, right, and monitor it.
And there's always a road back. If number 1 gets crazy, we still can convert the other one back, I'm sure. You want either one, right?
One more thing.
Fine, fix one. If you can't fix it, throw it out.
20 minutes ago, I was option 2, so.
You're not.
We would like a tour of the finalized storage closet when it's done, and it better be tip-top shape.
All right, option 2 it is. So I gotta take a vote on that, do I?
Yeah.
Okay. So, that council authorizes the conversion, no, so we gotta change this. The council authorizes the conversion of one non-operational dry sauna into a storage space for aquatic programming and refurbishing and getting the other one up running. All right? Can I have a mover and seconder for that?
I'll move.
Second. Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Oh, didn't get one. Oh, all right. Thank you. Oh, yeah, middle of the road, why not? Okay. All right.
Mayor's the first one in.
Yeah. The following items be acknowledged and received. Okay, so we got, I need a mover and seconder to receive the correspondence from the Shire County Archives and the St. Stephen Pickleball Association. Councilor Harding, Councilor Rodas. You guys have all seen them? All right, any questions? Seeing none? Oh,
Question, because
yep.
Councilor Rodas, I think, had a question about it at all. Sorry. Okay, I was going to ask the question on your behalf. I'll answer the question right now, because I know that I was going to ask it anyway.
Hold on. So you're gonna-
Yeah, I'll address it first, and if I've missed anything, I'm sure she'll pick up on it. Pickleball group, this is the concern with that, is that what are we going to do to help them? I mean, it's great to have a letter come in, but what actually, there is funding come up like this next month, so I'm sure that they would like to apply for that, and it would have to be applied through, I think, the town. So is there any way we can help them out with that? And I know if you're talking about location, I'm pretty sure that the location in the Kiwanis Park is the one that they're kind of leaning towards, because it's like a standalone place, and it wouldn't be a lot of work in that place because there's no groundwork to do. There's just it's the pad that actually what we're talking about is the pad where the skate park was before. And there's enough room for, I believe 3 pickleball courts there. I mean, they've just got 3 in Graham and Ann, and they have 8 in St. George, brand new courts. So I think we should get on top of this as well. And I think there should be some funding out there for, I'd like to not put myself in that category, but seniors do play a lot of pickleball, and I've been playing quite a bit. I know there's at least 20 to 30 people in the community, plus visiting people because St. Andrews doesn't have them either as well. So that we've getting 3 or 4 from St. Andrews, we're getting 2 or 3 from Maine, and we're getting all points in between. So I'd like to help them out a little bit, but I mean, just to have a letter come in and we acknowledge it doesn't really commit ourselves to something that we should probably commit ourselves to.
Oh, well, we're gonna just leave that at that, I guess. Okay, go ahead, Councilor Harding.
What do they want, Councillor Heislip? They want a grant from the town, or what do they want? They want what?
It's in the agenda.
Yeah, well. Yep. Yep, we could do that.
All right, so do you want to give direction to staff to look into getting that put together and working with pickleball organizer, wherever that is? Yeah, okay.
Letters addressed from so yeah, that's what I'd like to have some kind of commitment to work with these people, or direction to work with this committee. It's not similar to the dog park committee. I don't know if there's as much work has to be done there, and maintenance is very little for the first, I'd say, 10 years, right? I mean, depending on what they have for surfaces. But to be something, I know they've done a lot of homework on it and the cost and everything, and there is a place up in Moncton that actually does the surfacing on them. So, and I know that Chris Hare has done a lot of work on it. So I'd like to see, just work with her and see if we can get something going on this. And they're willing to do some
some fundraising as well, right? So I know they've indicated on the letter that they were going to in the next JCAs. I mean, sometimes that goes on a long time, sometimes it doesn't, but there should be significant funds for that. And I think the one in St. George was is a good case model, or the one in Grand Manan as far as costing and everything.
Yes, Deputy Mayor?
Number one, they're asking for the town for the former space of the skateboard part, so we'd have to give them that as well, right?
Yeah, not,
Yeah.
we're talking about the Legion though, right? Not the skateboard park here.
Well-
The
Yeah.
previous, yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, a question?
Also, you done?
On,
I just,
Okay.
okay, go ahead.
just building on what Jessalyn was just saying, is that I'm just curious. I visit Carmen's quite often, probably more than I should, but I noticed that the skate park in front of the old rink doesn't seem to have anybody in it at all at any time.
We're going to stick on the topic we're on here right now. But
I want to talk about
okay, you get to it?
I want to talk about it because... Is that an opportunity for this outfit to move in there where it's already there? I don't know.
That was donated by the Kiwanis, I believe, so no, not at this time. All right. Oh, sorry, over here.
Oh, no, sorry, I was just going to mention what Councilor Wheaton already did, that part of that is not just to get the grant, but to have space to use the grant funds and the fundraising funds. So it may not be something we can talk about tonight, but point one did say that they need commitment to a space as well. So I just wanted to point that out. But she already did. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Greenlaw?
Yeah, so part of the request is for us to help them get a grant from the New Horizons Seniors Program, which the deadline is the 14th, and you need quotes. You're going to need contractors' quotes to be able to do that. So I don't know if they've got that. So I'm just making sure that we're not setting the bar that we can't meet here. But I think it's good that we do it. I think we should try to get that funding, but I'm just not sure it's, we're going to have time. Do you have resources that you can, put onto that to help get an application in if they have quotes ready?
As always, if it's the will of council, we'll make the resources available. But yeah, as far as hopefully they have that background information available, because in truth, we probably don't have time to do that from this point forward. If it's filling out the application, getting it submitted, packaging it up, yeah, I can volunteer my new EA to help with that next week. But yeah, as far as if they've done the initial homework, then it should be doable.
Councilor Eastman?
This letter is kind of bothers me a bit because they really don't have a plan. I'd like to see a detailed plan before we commit anything to this. I understand the pickleball thing and the whole works, and I'm all for it. Don't get me wrong there, but they're assuming they're going to get funding from the next JCAs, which hasn't even been designed yet, And to me, this is not a plan yet. If we say we got the Rotary Field where they can use, okay, that's a start. But, how much you need for your funding? Where is the money going to be spent for that funding? Blah, blah, blah. I've mentioned this before. People coming and asking for money, we should get a financial breakdown of what they plan to do with a detailed plan. Other than that, we're just kind of throwing money up in the air and saying, we hope you spend it right.
Well, first of all, I don't see a value anyway, and yeah, so it's just, I think we're just hitting the start button here now. So, and Jeff even mentioned the same thing you mentioned. There's no plan there, but go ahead, Jeff.
And to Councilor Eastman's point, I agree, especially if the funding is leaving our organization. In this case, the funding wouldn't be leaving our organization. We would be taking it, much like the dog park. We would take it in. We would expense the funds. And if we got the grant, it would sit in there in a reserve until they raise their portion, just like the dog park. And then there's less risk when, in that scenario, when they're the citizens, especially if when they're not organized, it's just a group of citizens like the dog park, are out doing the boots on the ground work, it's nice that everything comes back into us and we control it with our financial control systems and things like that. So in this particular case, I don't think it necessarily is quite the same, but I fully understand Councillor Eastman's point about some of the other requests we get from time to time.
All right. Anyway, we got the correspondence. We'll have to just move forward and get some more information if we can meet that deadline, and we'll just move forward from there. Okay.
Is there duration? Is this a formal direction yet?
Not yet.
Well, I'd like to put in a direction to work with the dog park or not dog park, back to the dog park again now, to the pickleball park and get that going, I guess, get it started.
Okay. Councilor Otis.
I would say as long as you don't have a current plan to use the New Horizons Senior Program, because you could already have some sort of current plan of wanting to apply for that federal funding to use it. But I do like the fact that they have gone and gotten quotes. It says we've attained a quote, and they're waiting on a second quote. And obviously the land is a bigger conversation. But I think for a lot of these groups, they just need support for that initial grant application so that if they receive the $25K, they can go out in community and fundraise more and say, we have this and we want to build on it. So if there's a way we can just table the conversation about location, I'm happy to also agree with direction to actually support them in applying just because it's 2 weeks away, unless you already have a plan for the New Horizon Seniors funding, because it has to fund a seniors activity, and if they are predominantly seniors, then this is a great opportunity to access $25K. So.
Councillor Heislop.
I'd also like to point out that it's not unlike the skate park that's out here and the splash pad and the dog park. The property is not going to be given over to a group. It's going to be a municipal asset after the fact, right? That we'll have to maintain, of course, but we have to maintain splash pads and we have to maintain a lot of things in town. And it's going to be a community asset after it's done. So, and it brings in a lot of different things. So.
Councilor Greenlaw.
So just back to the quotes, we have to determine whether it's going to be Milltown or whether it's going to be the Rotary Field before you can move forward with a grant application, because if you do Milltown, you got to do groundwork, you got to put pavement in the whole thing. If you're going to do the Rotary Field, there's already pavement there. So then it's just more or less lining off and fencing. So if you're going to apply, you have to know what you're applying for with the cost. So maybe what we should do is say, do we want to go with the Rotary Field? And then determine that and then move forward and say, we want the administration to help them.
Okay, but we got 2 weeks. So I mean, is council okay with the location of the Legion Field? Can we at least give Jeff the headway? So no one's, okay, all right. So at least you get that much, and then the location helps them, because that'll help with which quote they use. Yeah. You good with that, Jeff?
Sure. Well, we can take it as direction to assist in a similar fashion as we did the dog park committee, which we also help with location selection through that process as well. We helped look at several sites and pros and cons there too. So we're happy to do that, keeping in mind the timeline of the particular grant they're seeking.
Right on. Okay. All right. All right, I had a mover, I had a seconder for the correspondence. The direction is given CAO and his staff to look at the location and help them with their application. And of course, I'll be involved once Jeff's got it prepared. And, all right, all those in favor of accepting the correspondence? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. All right, so mover and second to accept the council reports. Councilor Harding, Councilor Eastman, any questions? Okay, before I close that off, I got to do some proclamations here. We'll start with the Terry Fox. Proclamation Terry Fox Day, September 17th, 2023, whereas Terry Fox, at the age of 21 and having a leg amputated due to bone cancer, embarked on an east to west cross-Canada run to raise money and awareness for cancer research. And whereas his Marathon of Hope began in St. John's, Newfoundland on April 23rd, 1980. And whereas in September 1st, 1981, after having run for 5,737 kilometers, Terry was forced to stop his run due to a recurrence of cancer. And whereas he had set in motion the framework for an event, the Terry Fox Run, that would ignite cancer research in Canada, raising more than $850 million since 1980 and bring hope and health to millions of Canadians. Therefore, I, Mayor Al McCachran, do hereby proclaim September 17th, 2023 as Terry Fox Day in the Municipal District of St. Stephen, New Brunswick. Thank you. And another one, proclamation, FASD Awareness Day, September 9th, 2023, whereas fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, FASD, is a diagnostic term used for to describe the impacts of the brain and the body of individuals prenatally exposed to alcohol, and whereas FASD is a complex lifelong disability, and whereas individuals with FASD will experience lifelong physical, cognitive, learning, social, and behavioral challenges, and whereas children, youth, and adults with FASD will require specific supports, services, and accommodations throughout their schooling and transition to adulthood, and adults will require support in areas like employment, housing, mental health, as well as participating in their communities. And whereas FASD is a leading cause of neurodevelopmental disability in Canada and major health and social issues, affecting 4% of the population of over 1.5 million Canadians. And whereas early diagnosis of FASD and support can lead to healthier long-term outcomes for individuals with FASD, therefore I, Mayor Al McCachran, do hereby proclaim September 9th, 2023 as FASD Awareness Day in the Municipal District of St. Stephen, New Brunswick. And thank you again. And a mover and seconder to move into close.
I move.
Councilor Cornish, Councilor Eastman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. And take a little